And we're back at Pleb Lab. How's it going, everybody? We are at the Rusty Vibe Coding AI something hackathon, and we're here to introduce the OpenAgents API. This is way less mature and stable than the ZapWrite API. So if you're you want something stable and mature and production ready, ZapWrite's the way to go. If you want something bleeding edge and you'll find some bugs that are hilarious, but you'll build cool shit, yeah, use the OpenAgents API. Same prize purse deal as ZapWrite. So this is available now, our docs on our new site at openagents.com. You can check this out. I'm going to step through it. The big idea here is we want to let you transact money to and from agents as easy as making a single API call. We are building on top of the just released Spark SDK from Lightspark that came out a few days ago. It's like they call it a layer 2. It's really a state chain that kind of sits on top of Lightning in some interesting ways. That enables a few things, like if you want an agent to send to another agent, and it's sort of like within the same ecosystem, or just really any agent that's using Spark, you can send agent to agent instantly with no fees whatsoever, not needing to worry about channel liquidity. So that's a nice feature to kind of add, and everything's got exit to Lightning, exit to Bitcoin if you want to. So let's go through a few things. So let's just start off. This is my draft blog post. We're gonna be announcing this formally on Monday. And my hope is between now and then, I'm able to showcase some of the cool things that you guys build in this post using our new Agents Payments API. So my favorite quote we'll start with from Michael Saylor is, "The AIs are coming. The AIs don't get bank accounts. They don't get credit cards. The AIs, the artificial economy, intelligence economy, will be built on digital capital, digital property. It will be a $100 trillion economy. It will be built on Bitcoin." Obviously, this is going to require agents to be able to be economic actors and transact with Bitcoin. There has not really been an easy way to do this, I argue, until now. We have this amazing thing that we're building on top of called the Spark SDK. We've been sort of alpha beta testing this for a number of months. They just launched to mainnet 3 days ago. Carr asked me to put together an API, something for you guys to chew on this week. And I was like, all right, well, I'll build an API on top of Spark. You can always build directly with Spark. They have only right now a Node.js SDK for server side. They're in the process of doing a Rust one, but it's not to parity of their Node.js one. But I was like, okay, here's where I'll just throw an API on top of this. So you can consume this from any application. So if you're coding today and your backend is in Rust, you're able to easily use our APIs for this. And you might think that you can, if you're new to developing, make sure you know that anytime that you're dealing with secure credentials, it's important that you not include them in the client side. So even though you could be making HTTP requests from the client side, maybe that might help you during the course of a hackathon to kind of prove stuff out. Basically never deploy your keys to client side. Okay, so a couple of things here. Let's go through the docs. So super simple. In this case, our Agents API, this is largely just table stakes. It gets you a thing. There's no agentic behavior here at all. So the only relevant thing that you can do here is have a thing that you're going to have access to a wallet. The relevant thing here is in agent payments. So you can do a few different things here. You can create a wallet for a given agent. You can check its wallet balance, and you can do payments either through Lightning or through Spark. So let's say that you want to be able to create an agent that presents a Lightning invoice to the user because you want the user to fund the agent. You'll do create invoice, and you'll get back a bolt 11, render a QR code in the way that you're used to doing. The user pays, the agent balance will be instantly funded. Now, hopefully with that agent that you have that has a balance, hopefully you can now think of some interesting things to do. Do you want that agent to be able to pay an invoice? And here's where you're going to use your tools like Cursor, your tools like other LLMs that you probably have access, all of the very many multi-billion-dollar labs that are throwing credits and stuff at you to be able to make it easy for you to do LLM type things. Use the Vercel AI SDK, throw this into there. Maybe you're going to just create a tool around this and now you have an agent that's able to make payments very easily. If you're wanting it to kind of transact through the world of other Lightning enabled services, these agents can all pay invoices. And then there's one subset of cool things you can do with that. There's another subset of cool things that you can do with sending payments to other agents. One thing that if I'm going to be judging and looking for people who are using this in the coolest way, ideally you're able to do something, picking one of those two things or maybe combining them where you're interacting with the outside world using the Bitcoin payments. But then I'd love to see some cool new applications around agent to agent commerce, particularly if you're able to work with some of the other people that are also building on this API. All of these agents have Spark wallets. When you create an agent, then you create this wallet, and I'll demo these endpoints in a second. You're going to get back an identity that's a public key, so you can use that for, attaching a Nostr metadata to it if you want. But most importantly, you get a Spark address. The Spark address is globally, like anybody can send to this Spark address. So maybe some of you make like a little web page and your agent has an address that some other agent can talk to, or you skip the web page part and just do this all as MCPs. Okay, so in terms of using this, you can kind of like look through these docs. If there's anything like confusing about this, please let me know. Obviously, this was kind of like thrown together rather quickly. I did basic testing of it to make sure that it works, and it does. We separately also have an OpenAgents API. Jason, I got to add the link still to the docs, but if you go to openagents.com/OpenAPI, you can also just do openapi.json. It'll take you to the same place. Oh, that one starts off prettier. Pretty bright. So you just dump this into any application and have it working. So let's actually try this out. First, let's just go to ChatGPT and ask Foro, summarize this and what's possible. I'm just going to pretend that I'm super new. What's possible and how do I use it? I'll be floating around during the hackathon. You can always come up to me and ask questions. And certainly if anything is like not behaving the way that it seems to from the docs, please let me know. But let's just step through what ChatGPT thinks is, what this API makes possible. Here's the summary. The OpenAgents API lets you create and manage AI agents, give each agent a wallet, send and receive Lightning payments through agents. I don't even know if it knows what Spark even is, but that's one of the other endpoints. So create agent, list agents, get agents, basic stuff, and then wallet management, create wallet, get balance, and then payments, create and pay invoice. And then when it says here, send sats, gosh, I think that it's just for Spark, this one here, but maybe the AI attached with this did a more thorough job than even I asked it to. Okay, so for authentication, you need an API token. You're going to get that for free on our website. There's a page on the docs called authentication. You'll see this in a second when I step through the flow. You just click generate API. You sign up with just an email and a password. There's no verification or anything. I don't care who you are. Just, free account, email, password. You generate an API key. That's what you use for authentication as a bearer. Now you'll be able to copy things like this and then swap in your credentials. This is just kind of like a dummy thing. This signature doesn't do anything. But if you go to agent payments, you should see all the information that you need for the actual like copy pastable URL. That will come to our doc site in the next few days probably. But for now, just ask ChatGPT or any UI cursor or whatever of your choice to give you a curl request like this. Or if you're building in Rust, you can ask it to give you like whatever Rust HTTP library you're using. It'll create you just whatever their basics for like simple HTTP fetching. There's no special magic here. You don't need an SDK to interact with this stuff. You have an HTTP endpoint that should work. Your API token gets you access to that. Okay, so let's actually step through this and test it out. So I'm going to go to openagents.com and create a new user. The other cool thing I'm looking for is we have a stats page on openagents.com. I see 2 of you have already signed up. When you create an account, you'll see registered users go up. We have the number of agent instances. We also have the value transacted. And I've only tested this on my local machine. So I'm gonna try to get like numbers on the board here. It should say, the amount of Spark payments and Lightning payments transacted in the total. I will probably be in the judging criteria looking to see like whoever drives the most volume and makes these numbers go up the most, that will factor the judging for sure. Hopefully you're not just sending a payment between 2 agents infinitely, although that would be valuable too for stress testing purposes. Okay, let's sign up. We'll call this Chris Hack Test Man, email, blah, 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 password. All right, I'm in. I'm redirected to the docs. I'm going to go to get a API key. Oh, fuck. Where did I put the API key part? Okay, I set up a redirect because the dashboard generally wasn't ready. Fuck. Oh, here it is. Never mind. Sorry. Bottom left. Okay, this is what you get for building a UI in 3 seconds. Bottom left, you have settings. Please let me into the settings. Okay, thank God. Okay, here it is. Dashboard will just redirect to the docs because I don't have any actual dashboard there. All right, we're good. We found it. Okay, API keys. Okay, so here, you're going to name an API key. I'm going to call it blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. Create API key. API key created. Sorry, there's no like nice copy button here, but I'm going to copy this into a note. There's my API key. Feel free to impersonate me. I don't care. That's generally what it's going to look like. You say, I've copied my API key. It will not show up again. You get the basics information here. For just a basic test of your API key, let's try this request here. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to draw my API key. Make sure to include this front part with the thing there. And let's make an API request. I'm going to go to my terminal. Ignore all that stuff. Let's try this. Okay, we have our user ID 6, Chris Hack Testman, email verified, blah, blah, blah. And that just shows you that's who you are logged in at. If someone else hits that endpoint, they're not going to get your information because they don't have your bearer token. Okay, so let's try some of these nice little things that ChatGPT gave us. So I'm going to go do this one first. What did it tell me to do? Create an agent. Let's create an agent. I'm going to also drop my API key in here. And let's create an agent called My Awesome Live Agent. And let's try that. And actually, let's take a look at the before and after of the stats page just to make sure that's updating correctly. So I've got agent instances 5. Paste, enter, misspelled, refresh. All right, we have agent instance number 6. Now, let's see if we can get value transacted. Let's go back to here, create wallet. For now, you have to create a wallet after you create the agent. I may consolidate that, but let's just do this. Let's create a wallet. And this is going to be communicating to our server, which is throwing an error. Let's go see what it is. Let's see what we got here. Here's where the service is hosted. Check out the logs here. Spark API running on port 8080. Okay, it's working. But I got an error. So let's try this again on, okay. If you see a massive mistake that I make, feel free to shout out. Here, I didn't put in the agent ID. So you're going to take the agent ID that you get back from the previous step, which in this case was 6, and you're going to drop it right there. All right, you got to tell it what you're creating the wallet for. So it's going to take a couple seconds because it is failed to create wallet service unavailable. Great. Let's take a look. Okay, we crashed the app. Excellent. Let's see what happened. So yesterday, I was doing this, and it was working amazingly for 2 days in a row, and then I got an error like this with Spark auth end service. And the light Spark service actually went down because their database was growing too fast and they had to scale it up. So like the service was just down for 30 minutes. And like, I don't know if they knew that and I just flagged them something. I don't know if they knew that already or not, but within 30 minutes I reported it and then they fixed it. Let's see if we can figure out what's going on here. Authentication error, client error, Spark authentication server, verified channel received RST stream with server error. Verify challenge, authentication failed. So the beautiful part about, one beautiful thing about Spark is that the SDK does not require any API keys. Like if you use the Breeze SDK, you have to drop in an API key that you get from them. With Spark, it's all really just like you're using your BIP39 entropy, similar to Breeze, for example. You're making a call to the SDK that they're using, and then that's just communicating to their servers. The problem is if their server is not accessible, which it looks like is the case here. Let's try it maybe one more time. And then maybe I'll try again locally just to rule out that we don't have any problem there. So we got it working. Sometimes you just got to try it a second time. All of this stuff is bleeding edge stuff. I don't know why this succeeded and the previous one didn't, but we appreciate your help testing our beta API, which is sitting on top of a beta SDK. And if you didn't see this beta warning, let's zoom it in. The OpenAgents API is currently in beta. Do not use it with live funds that you aren't willing to use. I'm going to fund this with like 10 sats. Spark does have like a reg test way of using it. I just haven't set that up at all. This is all mainnet. So, you know, back in the early days of Lightning, we called it hashtag reckless. Like, it's production, but you'll probably lose your stuff. So hashtag reckless over on top of this. Okay, so when you successfully create an agent, you'll get back agent ID and the Spark address. So this is a thing that if you are interacting with somebody else's agent, if you give them the Spark address, they should be able to pay your agent. When you run the balance check command, you should then see the balance update. There is one kind of unique thing about the Spark infrastructure, which is that, like, in order for the balance update to show, you have to like reinitialize your wallet, which I think is done by a wallet balance check. There's been a couple of times where I've had to like kind of do an additional check or initialization. There's like something that we may run into if your balance doesn't immediately update. I've got like a longer explanation for that AI helped me understand that I'll probably post on the doc. But let's just try this right now. So we've got our first wallet active. We're gonna do that again, and we're gonna fund this wallet. Let's see if it actually works. So I'm gonna create another agent, and we'll call this one, let's go back to here. Let's do create an agent. We'll call this one agent 2. And I wanna try to get one agent funded and then paying the second agent. And then we'll call that the end. We'll call this my agent 2. Let's create another agent, clear that out. My agent 2 created. I've got to go again, create a wallet for this. Gonna go back over here, just kind of save that. And then where's my wallet creation one? Here. Agents, what was that ID? 7. Bearer, blah, blah, blah. Copy, paste. Okay, I now have 2 agents. There's their information. Now I'm gonna generate a Lightning invoice on, let's do it on agent 6. So I'm gonna come over to here, create a Lightning invoice to fund it. Curl, blah, 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 so it's agent 6. I'm going to drop in my API key. Whenever you're using AI, you get really good at copy pasting. You get a lot of practice with it, and there will come a time when we're not copy pasting a bunch of stuff in here. Okay, so let's do it for 8 sats. And do that, see if that works. Please, Spark. Yes, okay. We got it back. Here's our invoice. I'm gonna copy this and paste it to my Cash App, which is on my phone right now. Does anyone want to pay this invoice? Let me see. Can I drop it into the Slack? Yeah. Where am I? Blah, blah. Here's all of my stuff. Okay. Car. So in a second, I will check the balance on that. And then while he's doing that, let's get the transaction ready, or the API call ready to, so that's the payment. Okay, so the send one is for Spark, not pay, I don't care. I want to pay from agent 6 to agent 7. Pay agent 6 after funding the Lightning invoice. So give me a, what happened? Wait, okay, let's just do a balance check. So give me a API call for the send of 5 sats. I'm going to send 5 sats from agent 6, which should have a balance of 8 sats. So let's first tell me how to check balance of agent 6. Okay. Bearer, where's my key? Balance, 8 sats, it worked, hooray. You'll also see token balances in there. Spark introduced a thing called LRC20 tokens, I think intending initially to be used as stable coins, but shitcoins on Bitcoin may be coming soon too. I don't know how much we'll participate in that kind of thing, but these can support balances like stable coins as well. Let's see, so we have agent 6 with 8 sats. We have agent 7 with 0 sats. Let's just confirm that it actually has 0 sats by running that same command again with agent 7 in there. Okay, let's make a Spark payment from 6 to 7. And let's see if we end up with the same amount of sats or if there's a fee that we don't know about. Let's see. Curl, blah, blah, blah. So pay, send from wallet 6 to recipient agent 7, 5 sats. Fingers crossed to the demo gods. Perfect. Okay. So the transaction looks like it went through. The status of transfer status sender key tweaked. You can Google that, but that's the thing I was talking about earlier, where it's like you might need to reinitialize the. Well, let's just see what happens if we check the balance of 6 and 7. So 6, balance of sats 3. That's what we expect to see, and 7, 5. Okay, it worked. I guess the checking of the wallet like initializes it. Okay, so we sent a 5 sat transaction from agent 1 to agent 2. If you had the Spark address of any of these, you'd be able to send sats over Spark to any of these. And if you're also able to generate and pay Lightning invoices from these, that should be enough for like doing basic payments related things. The main objective here is like make it as easy for someone to add Lightning payments to any agent. It's not even just any agent, because you could be doing this with like there's nothing even specifically agentic about what we implemented here. Just like a series of API endpoints that can interact easily with Lightning, that you don't have to care about liquidity or channels or any of that kind of thing. There's no KYC to this. You sign up with a fake email address and password, and like you can hit all this stuff, and it should work. Let's check out to see if our stats page updated. Oh, fingers crossed that worked. No, something's wrong with our stats reporting for the value transacted. We'll figure that out later. But we saw on the Spark Network that worked. Okay. Any questions from anybody? No. So I'll be floating around. Any questions anybody has for these kind of things? Again, I'd like to see hopefully like some amount of volume of transactions, and then maybe like some cool ways that these agents can interact with existing Lightning services. If you say like, oh, here's how we figured out how to make this pay a ZapRight store checkout, something like that. Or if you got together with some other hackathon participant and did something cool with each other. Can I split the winnings if there's like 2 projects that do something cool?
So let's just end it right there. You want to end it real quick? And then we'll go over the rules and everything.
Cool.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
You had mentioned at some point that OpenAgents has integration with GitHub, or it's like it knows GitHub well.
Yeah, so our previous, if you go down to OpenAgents.com, we have an interface, a chat UI that we've moved to v4.openagents.com. If you want to chat with AI, and this might be helpful for like vibe coding type things, I wouldn't recommend this right now. Like I personally, I used to use this mostly as my daily driver, but right now like Claude Code is just better. But anyway, we will be tying. So just a little bit of, let me end on this note, a little bit of where we're going with this. So this payment thing blog we're announcing. Okay, so we want to be doing Bitcoin revenue sharing. Where if you, let's say that you refer someone who does a lot of volume, we want to give you a little piece of that. We want to be creating kind of a monetization layer for MCP. So one thing that MCP is great at is like this idea of the possibility for discovering services that your AIs can use, but there's no kind of built-in payments or pricing with that. So it's hard to discover like knowing what is actually good. Like I want to know who's actually spending compute on like top MCPs. Like that should be like something I could just pull up and see where the sats flow is going to. The objective here, even though we're just starting by kind of like sitting on top of the Spark SDK, we want to add support to everything else that's relevant in anything relevant to Bitcoin-based finance for agents. So stablecoins, including Tether. So like, to my knowledge, Spark is not doing anything with Tether. They've got their own like stablecoin partnership with something that has like 1% of the volume. But I want to add Taproot asset support to this. That shouldn't be too difficult. And so have, agents able to also transact with Tether. We're going to be combining this with a self-custodial web wallet. So we're going to keep this kind of like experimental bleeding edge stuff for the AI agents. But I want to be able to have a dashboard in here where you can kind of sweep your balances to your agent, from your agents to your personal wallet. The personal wallet will be on Breeze. They just released their web-based SDK using Wasm. They took their SDK and made it available to web pages. So you can now do Breeze, built into a website. What we may offer some select LRC20 tokens if we think that are cool. No reason not to add Chalmy and eCash. We're gonna do Cashew and have these also speak L42. Basically, any kind of Bitcoin-based protocol, agent should be able to speak it. I don't know which of these is going to be like more prominent or whatever, but we would just want to make it easy for developers to be able to like have one API call and then just have all this accessible to them. So we'll be working on that over the next month or two. I really, really, really appreciate any feedback anyone has. If you run into bugs, please come tell me. And best of luck to you. Thank you.